In this video, I'm going to show you how to use an app called Lightroom. So if you go to your app store and you type in Lightroom, it looks like this app here. So I'm going to download it. And as it's downloading, we can look at the app itself. So this is a really popular app for photographers. You can do a lot of different things in this app. So you can change the filters, you can use some simple editing tools to make your pictures really come alive. You can change colors, you can change backgrounds, you can actually shoot in app, which is a new feature in Lightroom, and it helps out a lot because I know a lot of you guys don't have DSLR cameras. There's some interactive tools to help you if you get stuck. You can also remove things in the backgrounds that you don't want. You can do selective editing, such as in this cup, the coffee was a little dark, and so you can specifically select that area to brighten it up. And then another thing you can do in here is you can adjust the perspective of your photo if it's a little bit on the wonky side. So there are a lot of different things that you can do in Lightroom. So let's go ahead and open the app. And then this gives you just kind of a run through of different things. So let's get started. When you first open the app, you're going to need to sign in with your Adobe ID. So you want to hit continue with Adobe. And then you want Lightroom to access your photos. So hit OK and hit got it. Now I'm going to start off with what it can do for photos. So I'm going to go to my gallery here, and in my camera roll, I'm going to go ahead and pick an old photo that I've done. So here's an old photo that I've done. You can do selective editing down at the bottom. You can also heal different pieces and parts of your photo. You can crop your photo, such as right here. You can crop it. So once you're done cropping to your liking, you can hit OK. You can look at the different profiles on Lightroom. You can always add profiles if you work on Lightroom on your desktop. If you sync with your cloud, it will automatically load onto your phone. So I can look at maybe some vintage ones. I like that one, so I'm gonna go from left to right. I like the black and white a little bit more, and I'm gonna hit the check mark saying it's okay. I can do an auto edit. I can change the exposure and light. I can change the contrast, the shadows, the whites, the blacks. I can change the color of my photo. I can add texture effects to it if I wanted to add more texture to it. I can add a vignette to it, which that looks a lot better now. If I go on detail, I can sharpen my photo, especially if you guys have slightly shaky hands, it's good to sharpen. If I look over here at optics, sometimes when you are too close or if you are taking photos at an angle, the photo will get distorted a little bit. So there is little toggles that you can experiment with to see if that makes your photo better. Geometry here goes with distortion. Usually this happens when you're taking pictures of buildings or things like that. You can play around with those settings. And then under presets, these are also things where in Lightroom, if you upload some more presets, you can get more options. So if I click on that, I can look and see what other options there are. Maybe I want something that is a little bit more creative. So I'm just looking at the different versions here. Maybe I like that sepia tone, so I'm gonna hit OK. So with this photo, I can share it by going up at the top, and I can click the little box with the arrow, and I can share to many different places. I can invite people to edit it. I can open it in different apps. I can export it to my camera roll, which is what I'm going to do. So I'm going to export to my camera roll. And it takes a little bit of time, and it's exported successfully. If I go back to the save, I can share it to many different apps. It depends what apps you already have on your phone, but you can share it directly to Flickr. You can email it to yourself. You can open it in Lightroom, all different kinds of apps. So that way you know that it's there. So I'm gonna hit the check mark. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about the things at the bottom. So you can learn a lot of different things in Lightroom. There's a lot of tutorials that you can learn from. I would highly recommend you use those. Discover, this isn't a beta platform now, but it has other artists that have taken pictures, and I use that just to inspire myself to take more. And then I'm going to go back here to this little blue button here and hit the camera button. When you do that, they're gonna ask if you want access to your camera, and you're gonna hit OK. And I usually allow the location while using the app. You can turn it on all the time. So right now I'm indoors. You guys want to be shooting outdoors. If I look at the top bar, I'm gonna look at the little lightning bolt with the A and click on it. And I want to turn my flash off. You do not want to use flash for this class. If I tap on the DNG button here, it's going to ask you, do you want a DNG format or a JPEG format? If you're a beginner, you could do a JPEG format. It's a lower quality image. DNG is a higher quality image. It's going to keep a lot more data, but it does take a little bit more space up on your camera. And if you forget what the difference is, you can just hit the question mark and it'll explain the difference. You can hit these little 3 dots on the right hand side and change your aspect ratio. So maybe you want a 1:1 square picture. Maybe you want a self timer. Maybe you're taking a picture of yourself. If you're a beginner, some of you like to have a grid so that you can place your grid where you have the rule of thirds. You can show highlight clipping. You can go in the settings and turn your max brightness on. I personally like to because usually my phone brightness is super low all the time. You can go in and change that up here just so you know what you're doing. I always turn my geotag photos on, and the last one is saving unprocessed original. So that one saves the normal unprocessed photo in addition to the HDR version. So that's up to you. You can click it on if you want to, but those are the options up the top. At the bottom, I want you guys to be shooting on professional. So I'm gonna click professional. I'm gonna turn off that grid here for a second, just so you can see what I'm doing. And I like you guys to shoot in professional because you'll be able to manipulate the exposure level. So right now I'm making my picture look much better already. I can change the shutter speed, the ISO. I can even change the white balance. So I'm indoors right now. I did it on purpose because indoors has that orangey, gross lighting. I can play around with it to get lighting that is a little bit closer to what it is. So this looks a lot better. You can see based on my little sticker, it's supposed to be white in real life. It was yellow a second earlier. So that looks so much better already. So that is why you want to be in professional mode. You could go to the different types of lenses here. So this is the telephoto. It's a lot closer up. You might have to back up just a little bit and tap on the screen to focus, but that's for far away pictures. I'm going to switch back to the other lens. You can lock your exposure. So for example, if you're outside and the light's constantly changing, you can lock it. And then on the far right, there's a bunch of mix filters. So you can set your picture to high contrast. Maybe you like a flat color. So these are things that you can kind of pick and choose what you want. The filter part is kind of optional, but Once you find something that you like, I'm just going to remove the filter here, you can take a picture and it will save onto your camera roll. So that's pretty much what Lightroom does. There's a bunch of different features on here that you can play around with in your free time. So if you have any questions, let me know.